It's time for the Grey Areas with Jason Adams and George Ferrugia.
That kid was a human dynamo.
Are you sure you're talking about George?
George of the jungle, friend to you and me.
Hello everyone and welcome to Grey Areas on what is such a big week. The Sportsbet Australian Cup Carnival begins tomorrow night here at the Meadows. My name's Jason Adams. As always on a Friday afternoon for the fun and games and plenty of tips and insight, Georgie Ferrugia. Good afternoon to you, my good friends.
Good afternoon, mate, as the wind is howling in the background of the Meadows, which often happens out here. Hopefully
The Broadmeadows Doctor.
The Broadmeadows Doctor. Hopefully it calms down for tomorrow's unbelievable card of racing. Can't wait for it.
It is a good card, and it just feels like it wasn't that long ago where we were sort of celebrating the Phoenix and we have some time off, and now we're straight back into it. So fields are outstanding. I don't think anyone could knock them, particularly the two Group 1s.
Oh, they're fantastic. And that's the beauty of being a greyhound fan, I reckon. I mean, we had the Phoenix and the whole build up to that festival. Then we had that big festival in Queensland where we got to see good racing. And now we're back here doing it. So I can't wait. Two really big races, and hopefully we can fill people's pockets with some money, with some winners. That'd be lovely.
For sure. And shame on the AFL as well for scheduling this State of Origin game on week 1 of the Australian Cup, which isn't ideal. Are you taking much interest in what's happening over in the West?
You'd think they would have, contacted Stewie and your good self and worked out a better time to put this on. I believe it's going to be pretty hot over there. Surprise, surprise. So I think it's just going to be a little kick-to-kick job, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody gets injured.
Have you got a bet in that game?
No.
I did back the Indigenous All-Stars at the start of the year.
We didn't get that wrong, did we?
No.
That was immoral. We've got something cricket-related, which is a little bit like this show as well. We've got a little bit of cricket in terms of our obscure bet. There's the T20 World Cup on at the moment. So
have you seen much of it so far?
Yeah, I watched a little bit. One game went to almost a double overtime, wasn't it?
I did hear about this.
Yeah. 2 golden overs, is that what they call it?
Super overs.
Super overs. I think it was South Africa and Afghanistan. So Australia play at 4:30 today. So good luck to them.
All right. And, of course, Mitch Marsh has done a strange injury. He's ruptured a plum. Is that correct? Was it in the nets?
It's not a bad name for a greyhound, actually. Rupture a plum. I feel every male feels for him right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oof.
Have you heard about any sort of replacements that could be in line
to his plum? I don't know.
No, not to his plum.
Oh, okay.
Mitch Marsh.
No, I haven't heard. No.
You think he's going to get a fake plum, do you?
I've heard of it before. Didn't Steve Smith head over there?
I think he's on the plane, but there's one other man who was on the plane this morning. So I
hear.
There
one more?
There's been an article go up in the local Shepparton News earlier in the week of a man who's just absolutely ready to rock over in India. So D grade provides goods as cricket Shepparton's lower grades fire back up. And have a look at the caption there. Renowned race caller Daniel Hibbard revs up after a wicket. So he's revving up. He's ready to go. Mitch Marsh move over in D Hibbard.
D Hibbard, 3 votes. He's in good shape as well, and he's in good form apparently on the cricket pitch. So look, who pays for his ticket? Is that GRV?
What, GRV, possibly?
GRV, please. The coffers.
Yeah, and he won't be calling Shepparton Monday because he was making a ton over in India. Hey, speaking of cricket and speaking of today being Friday the 13th. Now, George, there's a clip that you've wanted to roll out for a period of time, and we've just struggled to come up with a reason where it makes sense. But given it's Friday the 13th, and of course some strange things happens on this day, what are we going into?
Well, just to set the tone here, obviously before T20 was a thing, guys, and people my vintage would understand this. I mean, it was all about the one-day internationals. After the test matches were finished.
VB series.
Yeah, they were absolutely fantastic. And the West Indies, to be fair, had it over the Australians for a pretty long time, especially when this man was part of their bowling attack. And I speak of the one great Curtly Ambrose. And at the end of the series, I think they beat Australia 3-1 or 3-2. And I want to say this is at the Gabba or SCG. People might be able to correct me here, but he won a new Nissan Patrol for being man of the whole series. Now, what do you do with a Nissan Patrol when you get it? Well, let's just have a ride on the oval here. Get every single West Indian.
All the boys.
Look, with the doors open, I think there was a trainer on board here. If we'll see some footage here, there's Curtly Ambrose driving it, and look how fast he's going. Now, can you imagine in this day that we live in now of all the OH&S There's no way that would be allowed to happen. Just absolutely. You know what he said, boys, just get off. Let me see what this thing can do. But earlier in that piece, as you see, everyone was piled on. They were hanging out of the sides of it. Incredible. That's when times were a little bit more fun.
Everyone was a bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, God,
Rules
just
weren't the
listen
same.
patrol. I mean, the curator probably wouldn't be happy because Gertley Ambrose was going at some fair speeds. But I just wanted to show that. That's one of my favourite things from cricket in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and speaking of some well-known figures doing things on automobiles and on
See, this is
sort
why
of
we showed it.
surfaces where they might disrupt the curator. I've noticed this is going back a few months, but there was a tribute video that Sky Racing put together for the retirement of Dave Carlson, although he has been pretty consistent on air since then. And there was a bit of action in there. I thought, what on earth has happened here at the Meadows? This is Dave Carlson.
Look at this.
On a ride-on mower in what must have been some race down the straight here at the Meadows. So who's in the background there? Debbie Cannon, Angela Jackson. I can't see who's in the guts there between Deb and Dave. But
I don't know who's last there, but I tell you what, there is some celebrities on machinery. This is our new. It looks like Dave's won the race. Has he?
He must have. I'll have to get the vision. I wanted it for today. I couldn't find it, but let me promise you, we'll definitely get stuck into that next week. So unbelievable situation there. And could we get that again on Australian Cup night? We can ask Smithy, see if we can get a ride-on lawn mower race up the straight.
Smithy was getting upset when people were taking ages to catch cricket balls.
Oh, he was very upset.
So he wasn't very happy about that. So Dave Carlson obviously made this big retirement song and dance, and has Johnny Farnhamed it.
I don't know the detail, but he's obviously...
he's definitely back on
been
Sky.
around.
I've seen him, and his knowledge is still A-grade, to be honest. He knows, especially with the long tails, he's very, very good. So shout out to Dave if you're watching.
Expert on music as well. All right, let's get into it. We're going to hone into a preview for week 1 of the Australian Cup Carnival tomorrow night here at the Meadows. Of course, the 2 Group 1s. Let's speak about them first, Georgie. And they're the biggest of the 2, at least the most talked about, and that is the Temlee for the sprinters, where for those out there thinking, how do these greyhounds miss out on competing in the Australian Cup? All 8 of them go through to semi-finals next week. So the top 8 go through, and the top 3 from each of the Australian Cup heats meet them in those semis next week. And when I look at this race, it is just way too hard, personally, to take on Kenya Mayhem. The draw's perfect. The Punga Award's not going to give him a lot of pressure. Neither's Tim Zhu. So if he just does what he's been doing for a couple of months now, he's bloody hard to beat.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But these greyhounds are hand-picked, so you never go in with a level of confidence where you think, I'm just going to win. But you're right. I mean, he's drawn well. The greyhound in box 2, Mapunga Reward, uses a bit of the track, not electric early. So there's certainly no excuses for Kenya Mayhem. We can forgive him if he were to get beaten, because his last 3 months have been absolutely outstanding. I mean, he's been one hell of a greyhound, obviously taking out the Gold Bullion and the Melbourne Cup, and second in a Phoenix. So he's been fantastic. Is there anything in the market that surprises you, Jace, or you think it's bang on? Like Slick Split's second favourite, 2-time Group 1 winner here, probably excels at this track, to be honest. Is Deadly Avenger value at $850? What are your thoughts? Yeah,
probably. Outside of that, I mean, I don't know what Dashing Slay's going to do. I don't think she's beginning as well as what she was March, April last year. Draw suits her.
Probably her best has been at Sandown. That's probably been out of circumstance because she's raced in some big races there, to be honest, and had been injury prone or went back to South Australia when some of the bigger races are on here. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes around here. There's nothing to suggest that she won't handle the Meadows.
Now, I got a text earlier on, Georgie. It says, Jason, you need to plug the new courier service in Melbourne. They are called One Dog, One Bone Couriers. They did an amazing job at picking up and dropping off my dog yesterday.
Are we going here, are we?
That comes from Tom Savalas, who, of course, is the trainer of Daisy's Rory. What's the go?
Well, Tom Savalas is a little bit understaffed at the moment. There's a few of his staff who are not 100%, so he couldn't make the trek down to Melbourne. So he's asked me to pick up Daisy's Rory, and I made sure I did everything spot on and dropped him off at Todd O'Neill's house unscathed, and the greyhound was bouncing out of the crate for anyone that wants to have a go at the
feed or anything on the way?
No. There was just a wee and a poo for me. That was my duties. I put a light podcast on in the background regarding the Boston Celtics, just for a little bit of encouragement for the 18-time world champions, and that was my job.
So if he's anything like James Vandermeer after his poo, he's going to be cherry ripe for tomorrow night.
Oh, I knew James was going to get a mention
Somehow.
here. So, look, if he goes really bad, Tom, it's not my fault. I did my job.
So who do you think wins this, Tim Lee?
Yeah, look, it's hard to go past
It's him.
Kenya Mayhem. As we were saying on radio earlier, wouldn't it be great if Slick Splits and him are sort of going pound for pound down the back? And then I really want to see Mapunga Reward get clear running, whether he can win the race. So I know what you're saying. He went 29.70. It's different going 29.70 against this field. And then what does Sharapova Star do early? I mean, she's clearly the greyhound that goes absolutely helter-skelter. And we spoke about this earlier in her career, Jason. She, 5.25 certainly sees her out. And against this class, it's very, very hard. But she has got a little bit stronger. So there is one little scenario out of if you race this, race 20 or 30 times where she jumps to the front, there's a little bit of chaos behind and she's off and gone.
I think everyone would be left red-faced if she won.
Yeah.
Do you think?
But, I mean...
As in it would be the obvious that she's gone to the front and held on.
Again, and take nothing away from... I'm going to bring up a greyhound here. Take nothing away from him because he beat a good field. But I didn't think Photo Man could win off a wide draw in the Top Gun either. And he did his business really, really, really well. But I understand what you're saying. The pressure's going to be on earlier than what she's probably used to, especially if Kenya Mayhem's hunting up on the fence. But I think it's a great story for Tina Woman and Dennis Truan. It really is. They've been in the game a long time. They had a very good greyhound around the time of Brett Lee called Miss Tantine, and unfortunately she was around the time of Brett Lee, who was a champion, and they've had good dogs along the way. So best of luck to Tina tomorrow night.
Right, we always encourage involvement on this show, and for anyone who thinks the greyhound was stiff to be missing out on the Tim Lee, make sure you get involved. Now, Ash Thompson has got involved. He's stunned Barefoot Zulu, didn't get a Tim Lee invite, 29.40 on the track, and when he got injured, he was Melbourne Cup favourite and locked in for the Phoenix. Madness. What do you think about that comment,
I don't
George?
think it's madness at all. Look, he's a very, very fast greyhound. Yeah, he was locked into the Phoenix, but these greyhounds are group performed dogs at this stage. Barefoot Zulu is as quick as any of them in this field. I would suggest that if anyone was unlucky, it would be poor Oswald. And I know that I keep harping on about him, but he's a greyhound who has been consistently good at this type of level for a very long time. He's a multiple group winner, and he's just a free-for-all performer, and he's the stiff one for me, not Barefoot Zulu.
Yeah, my personal opinion, I had nothing to do with selecting the field in the race, but I guess from what he did back in sort of September, October, came in grade 5 company largely when he first sort of appeared on the scene. I know he ran second in the shootout, and clearly it was unfortunate that he couldn't go around in the Melbourne Cup and also the Phoenix. But I mean, just because he was favourite doesn't really add to his strengths as to why he should go into a field.
Who was that from? Sorry,
Ash Thompson.
Ash. So to Ash's point, I suppose they've changed. In a sense where it's not just group based all the time. They want to have a little bit of X factor in the race. So I can
Flexibility.
Yeah, so I can understand it from that point of view, but I don't see him as being stiff missing this race. No.
All right. Anyone else has an opinion on the field? Get involved. We want to hear it. Speaking of comments, Mr. Nathalia's got involved. Dan Hibbard, 37 off 31 on the weekend, 21 off 1 over. Get me over there. Kolkata is screaming the name of D. Hibbard as he gets set to make his way over to the 2020 World Cup.
There he is. I think Australia they might play Oman, or they've got a couple of minnows where Dan can just show his value to the team. And then when we face the Sri Lankans and the West Indians and stuff, maybe carrying the drinks. That'd be good enough.
Maybe.
If GRB can pay for the airfare, I think this would be fantastic.
And if he finds his way to a Nissan Navara, we know what he needs to do.
If he does a Kirtley Ambrose, it'd be the best thing in the world. Best thing in the world.
All right, let's move on to the Zoom top for the Stayers. And without a trace, he's understandably the favourite in this race. And we know she had her colours lowered last week by Fade to Black in the Gold Cup at Q2 Parklands. But I don't know. When I think about Fade to Black, I don't think of him in the same manner of which he performed last week. I personally feel that for greyhounds with such a sample size of form like he does, and then they have a real peak performance, it's pretty rare that peak performance becomes the norm for them. So on that basis, I'm willing to take him on. What's your read on him last week and what it means going into the Zoom top?
Yeah, look, I think you're probably aiming that more towards the first 100, 150 metres, because if she leads, then she's really hard to run down.
He's been really honest in these big races.
Oh, he
just hasn't taken it by the scruff of the neck of which he did last week.
The thing that not surprised me, but it was interesting to hear, and he's obviously been always a very, very fast dog, was Tony Brett saying, I'm surprised he hasn't won a Group 1 before. He won one because his times at the queue were enormous. Obviously, Kayla's done a tremendous job with him. She met some very, very good stays in the lead up. But once he got to the front, it was game on in Queensland. I'm not sure he's going to get to the front this week, and I'm happy to be proven wrong again about Fate to Black. We tipped him in the heat. As I said, I've copped a ribbing from Gareth Hall and my friends because he was the biggest certainty beaten against jaywalking in the heat of the Gold Cup.
He was massive.
And I thought he'd be a place chance in the final, and he was too good and broke the track record. So, look, maybe Jace, if he wins on Saturday night, then this is probably really good for the sport in a sense that we've got a couple of challengers to Without a Trace.
Sure.
And the other challenger, I think, is Magpie Hector.
Well, I was just about to ask, of these others, because we're not speaking about them as much, who are the ones that can really cause an upset?
Well, Belair Ethel's an up-and-coming stayer. I don't think she's in the level of the top 3 favourites yet. Magpie Hector went 41.14 in Queensland, and Without a Trace went 41.06, and he came from second place to run those times. I think he's really going places, this dog, going forward. And I think the Meadows will suit him. Almost a forgotten dog is Aiden's Warrior, who's also been capable of leading and defeating Without a Trace in the last 2 or 3 months. What do you think of his chances from box 4?
I think he's a sleeping giant in the field.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good animal. Is he as good as the others? I'll say the answer is no.
He might be fly in the ointment to fade to black here.
Yeah.
If he begins well too.
Yeah, I just think Without a Trace, although it didn't go to plan last week, when she begins well, she does leave room on the fence. If you're stuck outside of her, it's hard to cross.
Yeah. So
we need a fade to black performance.
We're both on her. And I think 230 opened $1.90 out to 230. Interesting to see what she starts, but I think that's probably a fair price for her.
Yeah, good race it is. Late night news? Too hard.
No, I
Too
don't
hard.
think so.
All right, that's the Zoom top. Let's move on to each heat of these Australian Cup heats. Compton Gold's a favourite in the first one. Now, she was great on resumption last week at Sandown. She meets Intrepidus. She meets Valenzuela. She meets Treble Beers, who's well in the market. What's your take on this opening heat?
This heat's done my head in, to be honest, from a punting point of view. I think I'm going to stay out of it. I'm not sure where you're leaning. Compton Gold's run last week was really good, but their speed in 7 with Intrepidus, their speed with Eventuate, their speed with Galento. So whoever can get to the front on that first corner between those 3, all of a sudden it opens the race up a little bit. It is very, very tricky. My boy Valenzuela probably hasn't had the preparation needed, and the box draw certainly doesn't suit him. So
what do you mean? He just hasn't had enough time? Or?
He had a slight shoulder injury after Queensland. So he's had a couple of trials and trialled okay, but you probably want a little bit more race fitness going in. Can he win the race? Yeah, absolutely on class, but this is a tough race for him because of the early speed. Where are you leaning here?
Oh, look, I'll be tipping Treble Beers, but I liked him more when Tara White-Therese was in the race.
Yeah.
Because we know she's an absolute Learjet and opens up room on the fence for Treble Beers to run into. So
what a shame she scratched, right?
Yeah.
Because it added to this heat as well.
It did. Look, I'll probably be with Treble Beers, but Compton Gold's clearly a sleeping giant on this race.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one. Certainly staying out from a punting point of view.
All right, heat 2. Amron Dance is the favourite, $2.50. He's been so good, and now's his time to shine in a good race. But this is just stacked with early speed. Dear Carla Lou can get out like a rocket. Distinction, we know the pace that she's got. Giacomo's flown out in his past couple of runs, or Giacomo for you, Daniel Hibbard. And then you got the opposite end of the scale in Weston Sydney, who trialled well here last week, but he's not going to be anywhere near the lead in this first part of the race. So this is a real narrative to how this race plays out.
And it's that theory that I've stuck with for 10, 15 years, that you come here as an interstate raider, and that's all great that he's trialled well, but it's a really tough ask to come into an Australian Cup heat and try to beat these greyhounds with early speed, especially from the wide draw. You're going to hate me here, but I'm tipping.
Already do.
I'm tipping my tipping my man, Zelda Cavilla.
Really?
Well,
are they not too quick for him early here?
Well, they might be, but if he just gets into a nice enough position, and he's no slouch early, and I just think Team Daily Greyhounds they do well in these situations. I think they're right in these next couple of weeks. This is right in their wheelhouse. Can he outpace Amron Dancer? No, but if he gets a nice position on the fence and there's a little bit of a concern on that first corner, Jace, he's in this up to his ears for mine at $5. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's hard to ignore. I like Distinction. I think when you look at her last run in Victoria, it was at Sandown. She went 494, 1849. It might have been to the back. So for anyone listening or watching, that is just absolutely flying. That is Fernando Bale sort of territory.
Yeah.
She can do it again. Now, she's been to Wentworth Park in her 2 runs since where she just looked like she made a mess of the start, and that can happen.
Yeah.
Victorians going up to Sydney.
Yeah.
So I'm backing her in to really resume to some of her finest work tomorrow night.
It's just what Dear Carla Lou does for her, because Dear Carla Lou is racing really well at the moment.
Yeah.
He's showing really good box speed, and Amron Dancer's got good speed as well. So it's my only concern. You'll know a lot more after 100 metres with Distinction, for sure.
Course.
Yeah.
Of course. Firstly, the quaddie race 5, heat 3 of the Australian Cup. Sparring, he was great at Sandown last week. Kenya All Class is back in business. Irish Bill is back in Queensland. This is a pretty handy race, and it's not clear cut yet again.
Yeah, and look, I'm going with the red Cleo Star because of its record here. It's gone 29.70.
Is it too long ago?
Yeah, yes, it's a possibility, but a couple of its runs recently have been okay. Just the box draw, I think, certainly brings it into the race. Irish Bill and Consigliere are probably the 2 most talented greyhounds in the race, along with Kenya All Class, but they're just all sort of drawn all over the shop for the time being. So I don't know where are you going towards Sparring? Is that where you're heading?
In that race, yeah, Sparring's got to be the one. I just loved his turn of foot last week at Sandown. I mean, we saw it through the Ballarat series. He had no luck in the Derby final, but his win at Sandown was just superb. So despite him having a 29.98 PB here at the Meadows, he can go much better than that. So turn of foot, too hard to ignore from my point of view. So he's on top there. Now we move on to heat number 4. Now this is where possibly the most entertaining race of the night may be, because Dramatical, who of course was a talking point on missing out on the Tem Leaf. If you've got a take on that, make sure you comment. We'll get it up on screen. He's come up with box 1. We know he hugs the fence. We know Paul Oswald's a gun. What's going to happen here?
Yeah, and people don't like it, I think, sometimes when we pit greyhounds as a one-on-one battle when it's an 8-dog field. But I think this is a genuine battle between these 2 greyhounds, especially where they're drawn. My only argument here is as good as Dramatical was unbelievable in that Warragul Cup. I mean, what the hell did he do to that field in the last 100 metres? He's special, and he could come out and put egg on a few people's faces and run 29.45 or 29.50. I think that's the ability of the greyhound, but I'm just sticking with what I know with Paul Oswald. I think he can get to the front here and get out and go and run 29.70, and I just don't know the discrepancy of $1.90 and $3 between the 2 greyhounds. So Paul Oswald's where I'm sitting. Where are you heading?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah.
Jason Thompson's been quoted in the Grand Recorder with the trial times for Dramatical. He's always going to go quick. He's going to run a big race, no doubt about it. But what's in front of him at the turn that he's got to navigate while possibly Paul Oswald's out in front? And if he's out in front, very, very rare he'd be run down.
The advantage is it's probably not jam-packed with the early speed of some of the previous heats we've spoken about. The one greyhound who's got a lot of early speed is Blue Labubu, I suppose, isn't it? But it's nowhere near in the class of Dramatical. I'm not suggesting that. But like you said, when you've got a few bums ahead of you that you need to navigate past, that might be the challenge for him. But I was in awe of that Warragul run. That was just incredible.
He's one of the more entertaining greyhounds in the sport at the moment, that is for sure. Heat 5, we've got the likes of Bebop Jazz, who needs to bounce back. I think her consistency has been an issue lately. Lakeview Lynette's going well. Maverico's a fast dog. Vista Weird's come up in box 1. What's your take on this?
Yeah, look, Vista Weird's a greyhound where you look at him pound for pound and say box 1 probably doesn't really suit him that well. He uses a bit of the track, but you'd rather him in box 1, I think, in a race like this. He's not brilliant away, but Jace, if he gets around that first corner and he's within an earshot of a few of these, I think he just wins. I think he's just gone to another level. I thought his Q form was good. Before he left, he went 29.10s at Sandown, 29.7s here at the Meadows. So he's where I want to be.
Maverico for me.
Okay, yep.
Consistent enough early, fast dog when he gets it all right. The field's not one that is one of the strongest of the night.
No, it's not.
I think he can run a good race. Let's move on to race 9, heat 6. Barefoot Zulu jumps in box 1, who's resuming, as we heard from Ash before, some frustration around that he wasn't a part of that Temley field. However, he's got a pretty big opportunity here from the red, as I said, resuming after a bit of a spell.
Yeah, look, he's obviously a very fast greyhound, 29 fours. This is a step up in class for him. I think the 2 greyhounds that I've pinpointed here are the 6 Amron Toy and the 8 Whispered. I think Whispered's form's been outstanding. And yes, this is a rising class. Amron Toy, 2 starts ago at Sandown, went 5:03 and 29:30. So he's capable of running a very fast time if Barefoot Zulu gets caught up in some sort of traffic. Not sure where you're leaning, but in terms of value, I think it sits with the 6 and the 8.
I'll be leaning with Barefoot Zulu. I just think he's just ready to explode.
Is that because Nigel De Vere is near him in the 2 as well, or what?
It doesn't have a massive factor on my opinion. I just think, although his past couple of runs just haven't been awesome on the eye, even though he finished down the track in his last start at the Meadows, his run home time, he still broke 12 seconds here. So he's flying. Dave Gill has said that he's trialling really well at Geelong in preparation for his racing return over the past few weeks. So box 1 gives him every opportunity. There's some commentary as well on Nigel De Vere, who trialled 23.87 on Sunday at Bendigo in windy conditions, but we know he's a bit better than that.
Well, that's no surprise. He's a very, very fast greyhound. So interesting to see how he can begin. A little bit of speed in this race, especially drawn off the track. So, again, that run to the first corner, really interesting here.
Yeah, I think Whispered carries some X factor as well. I'm not sure what she's going to produce, but we'll wait and see. But Barefoot Zulu, for me at least, in that one. Now to race 11, the penultimate heat. Now, this is real interesting in my opinion. On the Prow is favourite here. He was ran down in the Warragul Cup. We've seen him race a lot over 500 metres in recent months where he hasn't hit the line well at all. He's prominent in this market. He's prominent in the all-in market. I just need to learn more. He could fade away and we get more of the same. I don't know why he's been respected so much in the market. Fast dog, he's really quick.
Yeah.
We need to see him perform better in that last 50.
I think both of them, off the chart and on the prowl, are at similar stages of their career in the next 2 heats. Whereas,
sorry, I'm thinking of off the chart.
Yeah,
we're talking about on the prowl.
Yeah, well,
my mistake.
Both of them are fairly similar, though, in a sense that they don't really want strong greyhounds sitting right on their hammer here. And we've seen a few of them get run down over this distance. The interesting part of it is what Ross the Boss does in the race. He does use a little bit of the track. Whether that hinders on the prowl, I think it opens the race up a little bit for a greyhound like Hot Nanu, who's got a really good record here and a really solid record off box 8. Is he as good as on the prowl and Ross the Boss? He's probably not that far away, to be honest, especially at the Meadows. So that's where my money lies. My boy Ringo, his form's just been okay. He's a talented greyhound. I think a lot of people have still have that thing stuck in their mind, that really fast run at Wentworth Park. And he ran it, and it was a very good run. But he needs to replicate that, I think, against some of these real speedsters.
Yeah, Hot Nanu for me. And then in the last heat, this is where we do see off the chart, who was great in the Warragul Cup despite being run down. Challenging again, stepping up to 500 metres. I really like Urana Xavier here. I think he's drawn well. The pace in the race doesn't carry a lot of strength, and we know he's going to be hitting the line really hard.
The only counter argument I'll have to you there is that I think Avengement is his own strong greyhound as well. He does use a bit of the track, which could cost him. But I think Avengement's an 11.95 run home type dog here if he's at his best. He's got home in 10.30s at Sandown. But he's got that issue of he's 4 wide the whole bloody way. Like if he actually railed this greyhound,
that's where I think the window could open up for Xavier.
But he still gets to the line really well when he straightens Avengement. So if he's off and gone, I think he's really hard to beat. Off the chart will lead the race, and I think Avengement could run him down late.
Yeah, I think Urana Xavier is going to be one in the box seat there. So there's a look at all those heats of the Australian Cup, as well as the Zoom Top, as well as the Temlee. Of course, it is a series that is set up really well. This is the 3rd year of which it has been in this format. And again, these Temlee runners go straight into semi-finals of the Australian Cup, as well as the top 3 for each of those heats. And, of course, the 600-metre event, the Rookie Rebel, which we used to see all these 3 on the one night will be ran on the final night of the series.
Yeah, again, we keep mentioning it every week, but love how we have a prelude in week 2 for the Rookie Rebel. It's one of those fields that I think can be hard to pick sometimes. And then the final on week 3, I think, is fantastic for those greyhounds that don't necessarily qualify for the Australian Cup and are Hector Fawley type in that 600 metre form. They can always nominate for a Rookie Rebel, and I think it just adds to the race.
Indeed. Your best bets at the Meadows tomorrow night?
Yeah, I've got 3. Race 2, number 5, Charlestown. I think I've called this dog a moron on this show, which you pulled me up on. Maybe we use the word enigmatic a little bit more. He is a big dopey dog. Weirdo. If he gets it right, I think he's a talented type. Race 2, number 5. Race 6, number 3, Poor Oswald, I really like. And I like Vista Weird, race 7, number 1, to bring us home.
All right, magnificent. They're your best for the Meadows tomorrow night. Mine are race 4, number 8, Distinction. Then also race 12, number 2, Urana Xavier. Now let's move on to this segment, which you just gave a bit of a tease to, with Charlestown going around earlier on on Saturday. It's time for the Ferrugia Files. Now, you liked one of your own last night at Sandown. I thought she was decent without winning. You had Tempting Dash, absolutely run a mark at Q2 Parklands. And what have you got over the next few days?
So Charlestown, I think, can win. Cora Mack is running at Geelong, race 4, number 5, guys. She's going for 3 in a row on tomorrow night. And I think she's a big chance to win. I think Valenzuela's a bit underdone. Race 6, number 2, tomorrow at Geelong, In Bloom. Very talented type. Should be in the top couple. And I've got Johnny Football in a group race.
One of the great names.
Johnny Football in a group race at Palmerston North in New Zealand on Tuesday. Race 9, number 8, off the pink over the 720 metres, going for win number 50. Go, Johnny.
Go, Johnny. Obscure Outlay, have you got one of those for us? You mentioned the cricket earlier on.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. Why would it be on Amazon? I mean,
yeah, I know.
You can call me a tight ass for not signing up to everything. But
my son Nate freaked out when KO weren't showing anything. So he had to sign up to Prime. But there's 3 games on tomorrow, and I think we just take them to win all 3. The Netherlands to beat USA. In the T20.
Who's their best player? The
Cole van der Koop is very good.
Oh,
I made that up.
He's done his homework.
Made that up.
No.
Ireland to beat Oman, Morals, and England to beat Scotland. And we're shopping it around the $2.40 mark for those 3 winners, guys. Thank me next week.
So why have you taken those first 2?
Well, Netherlands have got a sneaky good little side. They'll beat the US.
Yeah. Pretty good at throwing darts, I know that. Michael Van Gerwen, Jan Van Veen, Danny Noppert.
How is my mate Littler?
He got rolled again this morning.
Well, he's been out of form, isn't he?
A little bit, yeah. He won his first game and he got rolled by Michael Van Gerwen. Do you know MVG?
Is he the one that's a greyhound owner?
No, that's Gerwin Price. He won the Premier League this morning. Michael Van Gerwen, there's a photo of him and Nathan Rooney. It's an absolute cracker. I don't have it on hand at the moment, but I will get it for next week.
Might be for next week.
So 2 things. We need Dave Carlson's vision, driving a mower down the front straight at the Meadows, and Nathan Rooney with Michael Van Gerwen. They're my 2 jobs for next week.
And if people have any other great little highlights from the World Series cricket, please let us know, because it was a great time to be alive, that's for sure.
As always, that corner. Join us every Friday. Send your suggestions to greyareas@grv.org.au. Suggestions, feedback, whatever the hell you want to send through, be a part of the show and do it that way. Speaking of Nathan Rooney, there'll be him, Michael Ty, and myself on the coverage tomorrow night here at the Meadows. You can watch it live on the Watchdog app. You can watch it on Sky Racing Active, however you want to do it, or, of course, on Sky One before each race. Is there anything else we need to cover? I feel like I've forgotten something.
Bulleye Gold Cup.
Bulleye.
Just quickly. What a great race. We've got old mate Cumbria Jack, who will start favourite, Jungle Johnny, and Ariza Sparkles. It's been heralded as one of the better Bulleye Gold Cups. I think both of us are a little bit pissed off that we don't see those 3 greyhounds going around at the Meadows.
Confusing.
But if Cumbria Jack wins it or one of them wins it, they said, well, we stayed here and won 40,000 and understandable. And I think, as I said, Cumbria Jack breaking another Trek record, I think that did no harm to his stud career, obviously. But we just want to see them in Melbourne from a selfish point of view.
Indeed. And just before we go, now, Peter Frost, who's done this comment, there is way too many words to feature here. So there's a day at Healesville on Sunday this week. They've got some music celebrating the deeds of the CFA. throughout what's been a really difficult period for them. So if you do want to learn more about that, head to the Hillsville Facebook page, or in particular, the Shed at Hillsville Grace.
Does a great job, Frosty. And the last time
He has a crack.
I were there, we got, well, the last time I was there, I got dunked in sub-zero water. So that was really fun, but we warmed up pretty quickly, mate.
Yeah, all right, that's a wrap.
Enjoy, mate. Enjoy tomorrow night.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
Happy
Great
punting.
card. Of course, if you want to get along here to the Meadows, there's an Australian-themed gourmet barbecue. So make sure you do that. Register at melbournegreyhounds.org.au. Of course, a kids' night next week, and then the club shout on the last week of the Australian Cup Carnival. So enjoy tomorrow night. Best of luck on the punt. And, of course, as always, we'll see you next Friday at midday.